Welcome to A.U.M. Ask Us Marketing. I'm your host, Kalli Fedusenko. I am the founder of Savvy Advisor Marketing, which was Kalli Collective, but we are the same company. We are a digital marketing agency developed to build relationships between financial advisors and their target audience using data to create websites, online content, and advertising. We build relationships first and we grow numbers second. And if that's an approach that resonates with you, then you should learn more about us at the QR code below. Our episode today is brought to you by the FPA, Financial Planning Association. FPA is a great resource center providing education, support, and networking opportunities for advisors like you. So, AI is everywhere, but how do you know which tools are actually worth your time? David Ortiz from Advisor AI Partners will walk us through the AI tech stack every advisor should be building to tackle their marketing. And he has with him Garbanzo. So please join David and Garbanzo with me to talk to us today. Hi, David. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Hello, hello. Nice to see
Hello.
you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. So, for those joining, I met David at Jolt and I sat in on his session, which was so packed. People were standing outside the doors just to kind of like reach in and hear what he was saying. It was a panel on AI, and I was like, oh, I want to pick your brain. So here we are. Um, so there's a lot going on with AI, and you have a lot of experience. How would you suggest advisors in particular and me? How should we begin filtering what's useful versus what's noise?
Yeah. Just as a point of reference, I've been an advisor and a CFP. I've been an advisor for 28 years and a CFP for 23 years. And my practice was all centered around financial planning first, and that was really our paradigm. So I have always been kind of a tech geek, and
Mm.
hence the big frame glasses. These are the Meta glasses, by the way, that take pictures and videos.
Oh, I didn't know
Uh,
that.
yeah, they're really cool. I
Cool.
got it so that I can do TikToks of Garbanzo while as we move to Spain. So might as well just bring the little guy in
Ah,
here.
there he
There, you go.
is, the star of the show.
There he is. Yes. Um, so about a year and a half ago, I wrote an article for kitchis.com
Mm,
on using AI in advisory practices. And
mm.
as I look back and read that article and kind of cringe, because so much has changed, like almost nothing in there about the tools
Mm,
is the same, but the processes. And so, what I really did in that article, and it is specifically for financial planners and
yeah.
advisors, is I have developed what I call the client meeting journey.
Mm,
And that is the 5 or 6 meetings, depending on your process, of bringing a client on board. And then how do you do those annual reviews? And
mm,
so, first and foremost, I think part of everybody's tech
mm,
stack is a meeting note taker. And
mm.
there's a lot that's going on around that. But that number one really changes the game.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that's involved with security, privacy, of course.
Mhm.
And there's different types of note takers. There's note takers that have bots, meaning that something shows up and says Garbanzo's note taker,
Mm,
and
mhm.
people laugh at that. And some people, they don't like that. And
Yeah.
then there are other tools like Knapsack and actually Zox that
Mm.
do not put a bot into the meeting. And
Mm,
so where because the big issue that you have is most of the meeting note takers all use the same underlying technology which sends
right.
the data to the cloud, and it's called recall API.
Mm,
And you're, as an advisor, could be held responsible if data that you get is sent out there. And today, right after Jolt, I went to RI Edge in
Mm.
Boca,
Hmm.
and there were no fewer than 15 note takers there,
Hmm.
and note taker companies.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and they're not all going to survive. And so
Yeah.
that's a big thing that you have to understand is
Mm.
what happens to your data if the note-taking company goes out of business, what
Mm.
happened to all of that stuff,
Right.
right? So, but the process is amazing. So really the benefit of that is being able to um, uh, Garbanzo's giving me the evil eye over there. I got to let him out one quick second.
No problem.
Uh, the underlying reason of doing the note taker is to never miss what's happening,
Mm.
and what I show is to set the meetings differently. So
Mm.
note taker, and actually I just learned this from Derek Kinney.
Okay.
Um, no, AI gives you the space to let you have more face. And
Mm.
so if he doesn't trademark that, I'm going to steal it from him. But I believed in that. And so
Yeah.
here's why. um, we all start as advisors with that first meeting, and you're asking all these nice questions and so
Mhm.
forth. But where does that data go that you
Right.
heard from the client, right? Maybe you scribbled down, oh yeah, they went to University of Miami and they like sailing and
Mm.
they love cooking and all of that. But it kind of stayed right there. With
Mhm.
these note takers, what you can do is really restructure the whole premise of the first meeting and go super deep and learning about the
Mm.
client and
Right.
not worry about the money at the first, and use that meeting to get deeply entrenched in the relationship.
Mm.
That's going to set advisors up in a much different space, because now you're having a conversation with your prospect. And for the first time, maybe they're going to feel that an advisor really heard them and saw them. But
Right.
here's the secret sauce of that. We structure it in a way, asking those questions and finding out. And then
Mm.
that data creates what we call a client dossier,
Mm.
where now that's the intel that you have on the client.
Mhm.
Mom makes a great apple pie. There's 9 kids, and this
Right.
one is an actress. So that all becomes talking points in the client's CRM file. So
Mhm.
imagine the client calling in, and all of a sudden the assistant answers and says, "Oh, Kalli, wow, I understand that your husband does amazing lighting stuff and all."
Mhm.
And you're like, "Wow, I feel
Right.
special. I feel special." Right.
Yeah.
And so those are the types of things. And then every other meeting we script out differently.
Mm.
So the great tools are the ability to collate the data, pull
Mm.
the data out, and do the KYC data that you need for filling out applications or financial planning, those types of things.
Mm.
I also have a compliance background, so we've created prompts that document it for a compliance audit. I call my clients, we get them audit ready, and we create what I call the compliance moat around their practice.
I like
That
that.
those pesky little uh, regulators are going to have to swim awful hard through the moat to reach up to your fortress to try and knock you out of business.
Right.
Right? And so, we've all been audited, I'm sure,
Mm.
and examined. And what happens is they come in and they ask for 3 files. And
Mm.
if those files are in great shape, they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, nothing to see here," and
Right.
they're moving on.
Mhm.
So AI meeting note takers and a structured meeting process allows for all of that to kind of resolve itself and
Mm.
develop a very strong thing. Also,
Yeah.
the ability to go back and revisit meetings. Like, we had a big tax meeting. Well, what did we specifically talk about with
Mm.
taxes, right? Roth conversion or any of those ideas. And that's what makes that such a special one. And then the final thing on that, um, Zox, and I have no affiliation to Zox other than I think that they have amazing technology. they have now come out with an integration with e-money. So,
Okay.
all of the FPA members that are watching this that are using
Mhm.
e-money, it pulls the data so you can have a data gathering meeting for financial planning. It's programmed to know and name, address, account numbers. And what it does is it pops up in another window the fields in eMoney for that client plan
Oh.
and pre-populates it.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't push it automatically
Right.
because maybe Derek, they hear Eric, right? But
Mm.
it gives you
Mhm.
the opportunity to have it all, and then you can push it through there. The
Nice.
other thing it does is it populates onboarding
Mm.
forms. It populates for wealth.com their intake form. So
Mm.
now you just have to structure all of that. What a time saver,
Yeah,
number
right.
one. But number two, from a compliance and knowing your client
Mm.
regulations, there's nothing better than that.
What
So
about
that's the note taking space.
in-person meetings? How do you use AI in that? Do you just record the meeting on your computer?
So all of the tools generally have a phone app,
Okay.
and now they are all also integrating with your phone calls. So you
Mm.
conference call in the
Right.
technology, and it captures all of that. So everything can be captured. Now, of course,
Gotcha.
you have to disclose to your clients that you're
Yeah.
recording it, but I've never had anybody say, no, I don't want to be recorded. I
Right.
really haven't. And since the pandemic, where even 85-year-olds learned how to use Zoom,
Mhm.
they're all very comfortable with that.
Um, from a marketing perspective, I can see how useful it would be to have all of this information, not just individually, but then if you can glean anything like collectively, because that's something that I find when I'm working with advisors that they struggle with is, for instance, when I'm building ads in different platforms, I want to get very specific to get in front of people who have the same, not necessarily demographics, but maybe the same interests. And I advisors have a hard time thinking of like, oh, well, I have a lot of clients who share this one thing in common. And so I could see how this would be very helpful. Can you like ask the note taker to put everything together, or would you have to use another
Nope,
um
it would all be done there.
okay.
So one of the things that I teach and I coach through is creating a standardized questionnaire or agenda for each one of those meetings.
Mm,
And that can be one of the questions that you always ask. So if
yeah.
you're looking to find affinities, what
Right.
that is, you're then able to do that, and it can tag those records with those affinities: golf,
Mm,
cooking,
mhm.
whatever it is, charitable
Right.
minded, and then you now automatically have your cohorts of those
Mm.
types of clients that for whatever it is that you want to identify.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so what top 3 tools would you recommend for financial professionals regarding marketing specifically?
So, as I said, where we were 18 months ago is definitely not where
Right.
we are today. Where we were a month ago is not where we are today, and it's
And
all
where
changing.
we'll be next week.
Yes. So what is really come into to play is now agents or
Mm,
agentic tools that
mm.
are doing things up and beyond what the bots did. So
Yeah,
ChatGPT, Perplexity, those are all known as bots, right? You
okay.
ask a question, you type something into a chat window, it gives you an answer back.
Right.
The real power is now using tools that are agents, and I have several. So I have a huge tech stack,
Yeah.
and I'm always reviewing it and turning them on and turning them off. The good thing is that they all have free versions. So if I want to take a
Mm,
break, we're on a break with ChatGPT right now, and I save that $20, and then you turn it back on, and still all of your things are still there.
right.
One of my favorite tools is something called GenSpark.ai,
Okay.
and that is a agent that does some really cool things. So it has the chat capability for you to chat directly with all of the different bots, but they
Mm.
do something interesting is they have a mode where your request is going out to all of the LLMs at the same time.
Mm.
And so it sends it to Gemini, to Claude, to ChatGPT, and you're watching it in real time. So one of the
Okay.
great things about these agents is you're seeing its process, its thinking, this
Mm.
deep reasoning. And then it says, well, ChatGPT told me this and Gemini told me that. And then it does a
Interesting.
verification and then it gives you the best of all of those.
Huh. Okay.
So, from a marketing perspective, uh, and I have a bunch of resources that are just coming available. So if anybody wants my resources, they can
Yeah.
email me at David at Advisor AI Partners, and I'll send them and continue to send them because we're updating all of these things. But we're created what each tool is best at. So kind of a cheat sheet for when do you use this model and when do you use that tool.
Mm.
What I do like about some of these tools is it lets you use all of the different models of, simultaneously that's there. What's
Mm.
so cool about GenSpark is its presentation capabilities.
Mm.
So I can put together, it's called AI slides of any topic that I want and have it do the heavy lifting and
Yeah.
then just go in and edit it. I can put partial information in. I can tell it to go ahead and go to the go to the LLMs and find more information. And
Mm.
it has created some beautiful McKinsey style consulting presentations. So some of the things is how you present your information to your
Right.
clients.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do is we do an overlay on the e-money financial plans that we do. And because nobody reads that 200-page plan, right?
Mhm.
They want the
Mhm.
Cliff Notes version. So what you're able to do is create a scaled down mind map of all of the
Mm.
highlights of that.
Okay.
You're also able through one of Gemini's tools, which is Google, is to literally create a podcast customized to the
Mm.
client about their financial plan.
Huh.
And so that's using Notebook LM, and
Okay.
it has the Google security, there. So the enterprise level security that you can use for the privacy and that it's not being trained on your data
Yeah.
and create just this high level. So I create a mind map that has all the high talking points like what was your issues when you came to me? What keeps you up at night? What we did to change your plan? Why this is successful or why you should be following this course of action,
Yeah.
and then we create an audio overview, and it's really cool because it's two hosts, a
Mm.
man and a woman talking,
Mhm.
and it's amazing, and the advisor can go in and tweak it and so forth, and clients absolutely love it. Obviously once you tell them that this is all secure and that their data
Right.
hasn't left the house
Yeah.
and so forth. So Notebook LM and is one of those tools.
Okay.
Um, ChatGPT has the best image generation. So
Mm.
the types of marketing thumbnails that you want to do, Instagram posts,
Mm.
things for your website. Those
Mhm.
all are there as well. Um, Another really good one is called Abacus, and they have an agent that allows you to create little web apps.
Hmm.
So we have created a web app for legacy planning,
Mm.
where
Okay.
now you have a way to create this historical view of the client and their family, what the ancestors were. Think about it like ancestry.com type of
Mm.
thing where you can create and have them input and then get these things out. So it's
Right.
really endless what you can be doing there.
Okay. So for clarity, you said LLM, which I only just learned, but this was on our last live stream, large language model.
Correct.
Okay. And that's basically just a bot.
Yes,
Okay.
that is just the bot, and so that's the technology that has been trained, and that's it. So LLMs are OpenAI is ChatGPT, Google's is
Gemini.
Gemini,
Okay.
Claude has Sonnet and Opus.
Okay.
So all of those. And then the other technologies play into the LLMs. So
Oh,
they have built the agents around the LLMs.
I
They are
see.
not duplicating it.
Okay.
They're enhancing it and using that as the engine.
Mm,
And so you know when you put in whatever it is the request, they're using a large language model,
mm,
and you can tell it which model to use.
okay.
And most of them allow you to put in your own API key, which is your credentials to that. So you're not paying a double subscription. So
Mm,
the cost for being able to do that is minimal. That's there.
okay.
But so amazing things you can do is make infographics for your clients
Mm-hmm.
explaining a concept and
Okay.
have it all be very personalized, and
So
the
let's say
quality.
that I want to do that. Which um, platforms am I using?
Okay. So any of them will do that. And
Okay.
so, however, the best one for that is Claude and
Okay.
Claude's sonnet models. So what's nice is the tools that are like the aggregators that allow you to have access to Claude and to Gemini and to ChatGPT from an all-in-one pay one price, then
Mm,
does that kind of capabilities.
gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. There are two other things you mentioned. Um, security, and then what happens if the company goes out of business? How do you find that out as the user?
Good luck. I don't know that I have the answer to that, but
Yeah.
you know those are real concerns, right? That you need to be aware of. Looking at the large players,
Hmm.
you're going to know. So you ask about their funding. Okay,
Okay.
are they self-funded?
Mm.
Are they venture backed? What series round are they in? What's their growth rate? All of those are important questions
Mm.
to do. That's there.
Okay.
Now, most advisors who are with either an RIA or not, totally own their own RIA, or either with
Hmm.
an RIA that mandates what they can and can't use, and then also, or a broker dealer. And so, in order for these tools to get on the platforms, they need to be able to pass a due diligence check. That's there.
Okay.
Now, there's another tool that I do want to give a great shout out to, and I
Yeah.
do have some affiliation with them. So, in full disclosure here, and that's called Knapsack AI. And so, what
How do you spell
Knapsack,
that? Oh, see, I'm
KNAPSACK,
glad I asked.
and so they have created an automation studio specifically for. Oh, and if you do /garbanzo on that URL, it'll take you to a landing page that Garbanzo has approved, and will give you, there you
Garbanzo
go,
approved.
Garbanzo approved, yes. And there you can connect your own tools and create automations. So
Mm.
this is the only one that actually takes tools from our industry and allows you to have them work together,
Mm.
and they have an automation studio. So think about creating customized newsletters from meetings and contents that you've had,
Okay.
and then being able to push that out through whatever your emailing software is.
Right.
I created for them an automation of why you hired me. So,
Mm.
how, as a fee based planner, am I justifying my fee?
Mm.
It has the ability to look at every meeting you've had, all the emails that you've had, what their portfolios were, and everything, and then collate that into a customizable report that you dictate. It's your template.
Interesting.
So to me, Knapsack is the real future.
Yeah.
because it's tying those tools together and the customization of what's there. And I
Right.
know we're running on time right here, so we're 5 minutes left.
Yep. We have 5
So
minutes left.
so the other one that I think it's super important
Yeah.
for everybody to understand is something that is called MCP, which stands
Mm,
for Model Context Protocol. And this is what's blowing the doors off on all agents.
okay.
Claude is one of the specialists in this. This ties all the other tools together. So think of
Yes.
it as a universal translator that allows your CRM to talk to your email, to talk to a
Mm,
marketing. So thinking about that automatic updates that you can create. So if a particular stock in a portfolio has some news on it, it will automatically be able, and you can program all of this, create a template that alerts those clients that hold that to give them something that's happening to them.
mm,
Imagine, all of the abilities to automate marketing things, when their birthday is. It's
right.
pulling from there, creating a special image just for their birthday and sending
Mm,
that to them. Right.
right. Yeah.
So it can connect so many different things that are there. And so that's really where it's all going, is
Mm,
agents talking to agents.
okay.
Um, Automatically sending out a schedule instead of just sending out a calendar link. You can create something that reads your schedule, gives them 3 times, they reply back, and then it schedules it. If that didn't work, it sends it back to them.
Mm,
So these multi-step workflows,
right.
connecting all of the different tools that are not necessarily only the financial tools.
Mm, I love it. And tell me, you said CMN?
MCP?
I was way off. MCP.
Yes.
MCP and
Model Context Protocol,
Claude is like the
the best way.
okay.
Yep.
MCP Claude. Is it Claude.ai? Is that how you would find it?
Plot.ai. Yes.
Okay. Um, this is a lot for us to explore. So as I go to explore, is there anything in particular I should look for?
Well, I mean, that really depends on what you're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish. So one of the best things that you can do is like just go in and like have it create marketing campaigns for
Mm,
yourself.
yeah.
Tell, and so Gemini is really good at that.
Okay.
But again, if you have something like GenSpark, you can
Mm,
direct without having 3 different subscriptions. It will send it out and bring that information back.
yeah.
So, for example, we're building a whole campaign around garbanzo,
Mm,
and garbanzo in my consulting business there.
yeah.
And so, we set out into Gemini, and it created a whole plan of how
Mm.
we can monetize the little chihuahua unabashedly.
Love that. And okay, you said people can email you for the cheat sheets.
And any other resources. Sure.
Awesome. I will
I'm happy
also
to
want
answer
that cheat sheet.
questions. Okay.
And that's if you're listening, it's David at advisoraipartners.com.
That's it.
Awesome. This was so great. Thank you so much, David, for joining.
Well, I think you can see it's my passion. I'm lit up about this stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And thank you to everybody who's joining us. Make sure that you bookmark next week. We will be talking to Christopher Norton from Potomac. He did when I don't know if you call it a keynote. He was on the large stage at Jolt. He and the CEO, and they were just hilarious. And they talked about the brand and how evolving their brand grew their revenue and AUM. And it was very fascinating. So we're going to have him come in next Monday and we're going to chat about that. Make sure to bring your questions. And until then, have a great week.